All right, we will call the meeting to order, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome, everyone. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Holm.
Yes.
Odie. Yes. Saxer. Ellie, can you hear us?
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Bell. Yes.
All right, with that, if there are no changes that need to be made to the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve it as presented, please.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No conflict of interest disclosure or waiver requests tonight. That takes us to approval of our regular board meeting minutes from October 10th and October 24th. If there are no questions or concerns on those, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So move. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No community input tonight, I believe. That takes us to financial items, bills and claims. Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, any specific questions from the board on the listing in your board packet? If not, I had a couple noted, I believe, yeah, on page 7, Gilhaugen Construction, $760,000. That brings our total paid to date to $3 million out of a $8.9 million contract, so about a third of the way through on the billing cycle for the high school addition project. Hopefully it's more than a third of the way on the completions cycle. Page 9, I once again noted Midway Service fuels, $38,396. Diesel this month was $4.53 versus $2.83 last year. So that's a huge bite. $2.99 versus $2.53 for regular gas. Diesel up 60%, regular gas up 18%. On page 11, I'm sure most of you are aware, the Reading Bus Line is our contractor for our coach bus services when we take all of our athletic and academic teams out of town. This month's billing was $17,067. Just FYI, we spend about $80,000 a year on coach busing, and I think that's a very economical thing that we do to contract that out, because there's a lot of events we take multiple buses, and it proves profitable, or not profitable, but economical in the long run. Page 13, Speech Partners, $8,900. Remember, we were not able to obtain a speech teacher that we had authorized on staff, so we are contracting for those services currently. Page 14, Sioux Valley Energy, $87,000 for the month of October. We spend $1 million a year for electricity in the Brandon Valley School District. Page 16, at the bottom, WMK, $65,900. That's a wheelchair van, a replacement wheelchair van. And we had a total bills and claims of $1,418,000. $10,946 of advance payments broken down on the next slide. $87,863 of pay vouchers, and $192,039 of food service bills.
All right, any questions on the bills and claims tonight?
With Gilhaugen, is there any, I hate to say it, change orders? Is there any expenses that we're not aware of in the beginning that's came up?
Good one, Mr. Scott. You just jinxed us. It's been very good. We've had a minimal change order, $15,000, which on a project like that,
Oh, yeah, that's It's
just,
nothing.
I was gonna say that, but I didn't wanna jinx us. So it's been very good so far.
I just know the business, so I didn't know
Yeah.
if there's
We haven't had-
that balancing act per month and with weather and all that, yeah,
Yep. Good so far.
good.
Keep it up.
Anything else? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the bills and claims as presented, please.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Financial report, Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, the cash report for the month of October showed $13.9 million coming into the month, just under $3 million of receipts, and $5.1 million of expenditures. It left $11,743,000 of cash at the end of October. $7.3 million was in the general fund. That compares to $6.9 million last year at the same time. Capital outlay fund had $2.9 million versus $3.2 million at the same time last year. Special education fund was at $890,000 versus $750,000 at the same time last year. And then the bond redemption fund had $614,000. Enterprise fund had $19,000. The $2.9 million is itemized on the next two pages. I just did want to just point out on page one there, towards the bottom, you can see general fund state aid and special education fund state aid. Those two together amount to $2,138,000. That's our monthly draw on our state aid. So of the $2.9 million, $2.1 million of it is state aid. Investment report follows that, just a little over $2 million. Payroll for the month of October was $2,628,000, a little over the $2.5 million of what I call a normal payroll. That's due to a 5-week payroll period for all classified staff. And then on the financial statements, first page being the revenues, we're 33% of the fiscal year through the year. Revenues are nothing to note on there right now, pretty few and far between. On the expenditure side, the first page is the general fund. As I said before, 33% of the fiscal year. The general fund is showing 33.3% expended versus 33.4% last year, so running right in line with where we were last year, which ended up being 100% of the budget. There was no excess in there last year. Capital outlay fund shows 36% expended versus 53.7% last year. Majority of that's just due to the big project that we have. Special education fund shows 28.5% versus 30.5% last year, so it's running a little lower than it was last year. And the debt service fund is 31% last year versus 30% this year, pretty equivalent. Food service statement shows an accrued profit of just under $53,000. And the trust and agency report shows $186,000 of amounts held for others.
Any questions tonight on the financial report? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve that as presented, please.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. General business, we go to our first section, administration reports, Administrative Center, Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few items to update the board on here this evening. We continue to communicate the free and reduced meal application and the need to apply for those individuals that believe that they may qualify. Accreditation is set for November 22nd. That is a desk audit. Following that meeting, in the event that there are any items that need to be corrected or tweaked, there's a 90-day correction period prior to the issuance of the accreditation certificate. Curriculum, the proposed social study standards, I would just note that as previously reported, we had a K-12 department meeting. Collaboratively, the building levels were tasked with reviewing the proposed standards and providing us with feedback and ultimately developing consensus comments at the building level. We're now in the process of administratively reviewing those comments and the feedback. We will hold a department meeting with those individuals here in the future, and then we will ultimately submit our respective comments to the Department of Education through the means that they provide. The ASBSD Delegate Assembly is Friday, November 18th. It's relevant to note that Ms. Saxer serves on the ASBSD Executive Board, so she is there in that capacity, and Member Scott, as our other school board member on city affairs and legislation, will be tasked with attending the Delegate Assembly. The academic calendar for next year, development is in progress. I would note that it is a corresponding calendar. Classified council, teacher liaison council, and administrative council all play a valuable role in reviewing that calendar and providing feedback. And then ultimately we bring it to the public for presentation on January 9th and feedback, and then tentatively the academic calendar is scheduled for adoption there in January. For this academic school year, a couple of items to note. Thanksgiving break is coming up. There is no school Wednesday, November 23rd through Friday, November 25th, as we have our Thanksgiving break. Winter break will begin on December 21st with a 2-hour early dismissal, and then there's no school December 22nd through January 2nd, with school resuming on January 3rd. January 16th, there's no school for workshop and in-service. Skipping to the high school edition and an update there, just want to specifically note the BVHS utility interruption that is planned. We'll talk a little bit about that. It's scheduled for November 21st, Monday, November 21st, and Tuesday, November 22nd. That information was communicated out to staff prior to the release to our students and parents. And then later that day, we informed all of the high school staff of the plan associated with the utility interruption. Those days remain in the academic calendar, and they remain in our teacher contract calendar as well. Our classified staff are being provided the option to utilize the days as unpaid leave, or they can work on site at a different building within the Brandon Valley School District. A couple of departments will be on site here at the high school, but most of them would have to go off site to work in other buildings, which will certainly help support us in the event that we need substitute teachers or substitutes in the various departments that we have within the system. So would note that communication has gone out to all high school families. We will be sending a district-wide communication here in the near future that will also include that respective information. If you're interested in the ins and outs of the high school utility interruption, you can find the communication on our high school project webpage. It's clearly outlined there for your respective review. That outlines things like if a high school student has challenges associated with internet connectivity, where they can go and who they can contact. In the event that they'd like meals on those days, what the plan is for that. So there's an abundance of information included on the website within that communication. And in the event that we happen to miss something, certainly feel free to reach out to the high school administration, and they'll take care of communicating any of those small details that happen to be missed. But I do believe you'll find most all of the information you need regarding the high school utility interruption on our respective webpage, which has been produced or has been submitted to our families. In terms of progress, this picture looks very different than even what it looks like today. They started to put on the exterior sheathing, so you can see that this picture is actually very different than what we got currently going on. The steel stud construction and masonry remains in progress. The roof decking is going on Area A, so that's obviously an important step as we get closer to winter and we want to get the project in closed. Again, masons are on site. Masonry has begun in Area B. Today, when you, if you happen to drive by and look at it, now they've got it enclosed with the plastic and heated all up so that they're able to continue to work through the elements. That'll be important as we work through the cold snap. Again, structural steel is in progress. So this picture right here shows you the transformer that is the subject of the utility interruption. So this transformer here ultimately has to be moved outside of the building out to, well, near the Suburban, or close to that. But this is the item that has to be picked up with a crane and moved to its new location. So certainly appreciate our electrical contractor, Gil Haugen, and then also Sioux Valley Energy for their cooperative efforts on getting that moved and minimizing the interruption to our school day. Again, structural steel going up, and here you can see Area C. So this is the end of Area B. The entrance here is the end of Area B. And then you can see the footings and foundation walls have all been poured for Area C as well. So all of the footing and foundation wall work has been done. You're good to go. Just had to backfill there. Certainly with that, would field any questions that you have at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Larson. Mr. Lundberg, anything additional tonight? All right. High school, Mr. Schleckway? Mrs. Moore or Mr. Paula? Nothing? Middle school, Dr. Nelson or Mr. Rothenberger? Intermediate school, Mr. Skipstead, Mr. Pearson? Okay. Special services, Mrs. Otime? Elementary, Ms. Foster, Mrs. Hoffkamp, Mr. Horst, Mrs. Mutter or Mrs. Palmer? Mrs. Nelson, anything tonight? Mr. Henschel, anything tonight? Mr. Frecking?
Good news reports will be starting the second meeting of the month.
Good.
So you can look forward to that. I forgot to mention that in my SUPS report.
I seem to bat zero every time I try to do this, so. Board policy, well, this is good, we don't have any of that tonight, because that's such a crowd pleaser. All right, general business, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 3 as presented, please. There's been a first and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Personnel, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 7 as presented, please.
So moved.
There's been a first and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Items 8 through 10 are for your information only. There are some building permit applications there for your review if you choose to look at those. 3 thank yous to the Board of Education for some various items there. That takes us to formal board reports. Does anyone have a formal board report that they would like to share tonight? Okay, even you guys are quiet. All right, that looks like there's one travel report there for you to review. Otherwise, it looks like that takes us to the end of our scheduled agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, and I can't believe I'm saying happy Thanksgiving and be safe, everyone. Wow, where'd that go? So, not yet. Nothing goes up until Thanksgiving is over. We have to eat the turkey first, sorry. Thank you.